Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the Strengthening Your LinkedIn Profile webinar. My name is Dr. Mary Catherine Arnold, and I'm the Director of Student Affairs here for the online campus of South College. Before we get started, I would like to just remind everyone that you have all been muted. It's important to note that should you have any questions throughout today's presentation, that you go ahead and type them into the questions and answers box that's either at the top or the bottom of your screen. I'll make sure that I set some time aside at the conclusion of this presentation to review any and all questions and concerns that have come in. I also wanted to remind everyone that this presentation is being recorded. So although I hope that everyone has a pen and paper on hand so that they can take some notes throughout the presentation, if you happen to miss any of the information, please don't hesitate to let me know. I can always supply that recording. I'll make sure that my contact information is at the conclusion of this presentation, or you can always email me from any of the reminder emails that you received regarding tonight's presentation. In addition, we'll also be sure to have this posted on our YouTube page as well over the next couple of months, so that way you can also access it at your convenience as well. I will say that tonight's presentation, you may be asked to participate throughout it, so please be ready to answer some questions and provide your feedback as we go throughout the presentation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and begin discussing what to expect when you're working and strengthening your LinkedIn profile. A lot of what we're going to be discussing throughout tonight's presentation is in regards to understanding how to get noticed on LinkedIn and how you should really use your LinkedIn to benefit you as a job seeker. This is an area that can be extremely challenging for individuals, especially when they're really busy or while you're in school. However, the more that we can focus on these items leading up and during the job search, the more likely we will be to experience success within the job search. Today, we're first going to start off with a discussion about why LinkedIn is so beneficial to use throughout your job search, followed by some of the things that your profile should include to start attracting those hiring managers and recruiters. In addition, we're going to talk more about how to strategically grow your network and what and how to use and what and how endorsements are used and what they really are, as well as how to make recommendations and why you should ask for recommendations from others, in addition to how to share content and other additional tips to really keep in mind throughout utilizing and editing your LinkedIn profile. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we'll also be sure to close the session with any questions or concerns that you may have on these topics and steps that you can personally look to improve or strengthen and utilize when you're working on building that strong LinkedIn profile. So let's start off by first discussing the significance of LinkedIn and why using this platform may assist you in the job search. First off, don't forget that although it is considered a social media platform, it is also considered a professional networking site. Some of the reason why LinkedIn can be a significant component in your job search comes straight from the statistics that you're going to see in just a moment. So, according to research completed by 99 firms in 2020, so it's very recent information, this platform hosts more than 610 million members across the world. LinkedIn is actually considered the world's largest professional networking site. So, what does this actually mean for you as a job seeker? This means that it is one of the biggest places that you can use to connect industry professionals with each other to discover job opportunities. Currently, LinkedIn houses over 610 million members across the world, and 303 million of these members are active monthly users. And when we're talking about active monthly users, we're talking about that this means that 40% of the users that are on LinkedIn are visiting the site and visiting this application on their phone or their smart device pretty much daily. Think about these numbers. If you have 303 million users regularly logging onto the website, this means that you're increasing the opportunity to build your network and increasing your opportunity to learn about new positions and openings at various companies. So when you are also connecting with professionals on LinkedIn, you are connecting yourself with other like-minded individuals and thought leaders where you can share your knowledge, you can gain insight on your industry and your job, and then even share information on upcoming events as well. In addition, not only are there lots of users who are regularly using the site, but there are lots of big companies and organizations using this site as well. So, according to the research that 99 firms completed in 2020, 92% of all Fortune 500 companies are using LinkedIn. Sure, these companies are also using other platforms such as your Facebook and your Twitter, and some even are using YouTube. But the fact that LinkedIn tied for the top place with Facebook shows the significance that these companies are placing on that professional side of their operations. So they're really using this to drive it home that professionalism and that professional piece. Now, if we move beyond the statistics, you're also going to see that LinkedIn will help you with the job search, not only because you are increasing your ability to connect and network with others, but also because of its extensive job board. When you are utilizing LinkedIn, you are also able to quickly navigate between openings, individuals who work for that specific company, and information on that company. This is a great way for you to really get a sense about the openings before hitting that apply button. In addition, when you locate positions through LinkedIn's job board section, you are finding openings that recruiters have decided that they want to advertise on this resource. Now, not only are you able to potentially find higher level positions available, but you're also able to find more detail about that position in the recruiter or connect directly with the individuals and the recruiter right through that platform. Because a lot of times when recruiters are posting their job openings through LinkedIn, they have the opportunity to select who is the contact for this job and they'll click on themselves as the recruiter. So that way you now have a person that you can connect your questions to, you can connect with to try and help build that bridge and get your name known and get your interest for that position known. Now, when we are searching for a new job and are developing ourselves as professionals, we always need to think about our brand. Who are we? What do we have to offer? Why would individuals and companies want to hire us on their team? So essentially, just like companies need to build their brands, we need to build our professional brands online. Personal websites can be great for this. However, they tend to come with an extra cost and hours of building and finessing that. And especially if you're like me and you're not a super technical savvy person, trying to learn all that coding and what you need to do in order to build a website can be a lot of extra time and money that we're sinking into building our brands. But LinkedIn is free, it's easy to use, and it can help us to cover just as much ground since there are so many users and professionals out there on that platform. Uploading a professional profile picture and writing a powerful summary that showcases our personality can emphasize our strengths and really help us to be one of the best ways that we can build our brand and some of the easiest ways that we can see LinkedIn significance in our own job search. We also don't want to discount the importance that Google and web searches have on us and our abilities to successfully secure a position. One of the first things that many employers will do once you are being considered for a position is to Google your name. If you've never Googled yourself, now is a great time to do so. You want to know what pops up on that first page of results. Although some of you might be thinking, I don't want any information on me out to be out there. The sad truth of the matter is that it is expected nowadays for you to have some type of online presence. Googling yourself can help you to see what type of online presence you have and if it is even you. No matter what, we want one of the first things that appear when we Google ourselves is to be a professional image of who we are. This is why it's going to be super critical for you to have a LinkedIn and use it because LinkedIn is such a well-known and powerful networking tool. It actually is one of the first results on Google. So when you Google your name, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you're probably going to see that your LinkedIn profile is going to be one of the first couple of results. It's typically easier for you to get your LinkedIn page to be ranked on Google in one of the first results rather than a personal website or something else that you maybe don't want out there. So, again, we want to provide that finalized professional look immediately for the hiring manager. And that's going to be one of the biggest reasons why we're going to want to utilize LinkedIn in our job search. Now, I also quickly mentioned this next bullet point when I was discussing the extensive job board that's built into LinkedIn. However, it can also help you with the opportunity to research companies and its employees. I understand that there may be many times out there where you're just desperate for a new job. But here's the one thing I'm going to tell you. Even if you're desperate for a new job, you also need to remember that it is important to find some type of happiness wherever you might end up working. If the company is using their page as well and it's a pretty decent company, you should be able to gain a pretty good feel for that company's culture and the individuals who work there before really even being able to dive into the interview process or even accept a position. The last thing I want to see anyone doing is, even if you're desperate for a job, is just necessarily taking the first thing that comes your way if it's going to make you miserable at the end of the day. Because then that also leads into other problems where we show that we're job jumpers, and then if we show that we're job jumpers, it looks kind of bad to potential employers. LinkedIn is also a significant way and significant for you to use in your job search, because at the end of the day, you also want to remember that it is just like other social networking websites. This means people share stuff on it. When you are active in LinkedIn and join groups, it allows you to raise your visibility to others and create credibility. Connecting with groups and individuals in the groups help you to gain knowledge, information, and insight on the industry, what's happening really in your niche. So, you also are able to find smaller ways to communicate with less individuals and build more relevant and reliable relationships in a smaller setting, which is why LinkedIn can be really beneficial for you. So now that we have a good idea for all the reasons why focusing on utilizing LinkedIn is helpful in our job search, let's really start discussing some of the changes that you can make to upgrade your profile and help increase and enhance your LinkedIn profile. Keep in mind, our LinkedIn profiles are a great way to build our personal brand and help us to really stand out from the crowd. That means that we want this to be viewed as full and complete in order to strengthen your LinkedIn profile. So, first off, to strengthen your LinkedIn profile, choose an appropriate picture. You want to make sure that the picture that we're choosing is an appropriate picture and photo of ourselves. I know, guys, this can seem intimidating, uncomfortable, or even scary to us. However, we cannot let that be the case. When we are choosing a picture, we want to remember that this is going to be that first impression that we give to others. Don't forget that because this is online, this is our chance where we will not be able to meet others face to face, but we're able to give them a good idea of who we are, especially initially prior to being able to meet someone face to face. There are lots of places that you can go to view more on how to pick the right profile picture for your LinkedIn profile. But I do want to mention some things that you really want to focus on to help make sure that it's appropriate. So, the first thing that you want to focus on is making sure that the picture is recent and, in fact, look like you, and makes sure that your face is taking up around 60% of the photos. So, what you're seeing on your screen right now with the picture of the lady and the gentleman, you're going to see that it's about 60% is their face, and it's just kind of a headshot. So it's a little bit from mid torso up. In addition, we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's super long distance or far away shots, because those photos are actually going to end up being too small for the hiring manager to view you. If you look at that picture on the lower picture, that's slightly to the left, that gray circle with that white outline of a person, that's as big as your profile picture is actually going to appear. So we want to make sure that it's close enough so that way they can get a good face, a good image of what your face is and how you really appear in real life. In addition, you want the photos that you end up using to show that you're in similar attire to what you would typically wear to work. The great thing about the photo of having about 60% of your face is that we really need to only be dressed up from the waist up. Lastly, guys, don't forget to smile and look directly at the camera when you're taking this. Now, I also get a lot of times people will ask me if they should get a professional headshot for this. If you have the time and money, absolutely. But otherwise, headshot either taken by yourself as a selfie or a photo taken by someone else should suffice. I can tell you, my LinkedIn profile picture is a photo taken by a friend and a family member. It is not something that I went out and I professionally got done because I don't want to spend the money on it, but I still wanted it to look nice. I typically encourage you to go to someone else for that photo just because that's going to help you to really be able to focus on the camera and where you're looking when that photo is being taken, as well as it's also going to help you to get that 60% of that contrast or that image being your face. The other question I get frequently from a lot of my students is, can I use a picture from my wedding? Well, guys, here's the thing. If your makeup or your hair looks extremely different from how you would regularly prepare yourself on each day, you typically want to avoid these types of photos. Again, the goal is to provide a good and strong visual of how you will typically appear each and every day for the start of your shift. So now you will also see the second photo that is being asked is for you to be including on your profile is a background photo. This is similar to what we might consider the cover photo that you will see on a lot of other platforms. This is something that many users will keep as the default, either because they don't know that they can change it or they aren't sure what their banner should look like and what it should include. At the end of the day, your banner should reinforce who you are and visually support the written portions of your profile. So, for indecisive individuals out there, such as myself, there are some tips and tricks that I wanted to go over that you might find helpful when trying to include and replace this image with something like including your workspace. Having a picture of an office space, desk, or work environment is a simple way to connote professionalism. If you are in the line of business or sales, you may want to focus on including a photo that focuses on the end benefit that you provide to your clients or customers. So, for instance, if you work in medical device sales, maybe an image of a hospital or some healthcare equipment might be what you would want to include in your banner photo. If you work for sales for an outdoor store, maybe you would want something to include like a stock photo of someone kayaking or canoeing. You also could try to include a city landscape that demonstrates the city where your company is based out of, or maybe even demonstrates a picture of your company's physical building. Some other ways that you can change this photo would include a picture of your team during a team meeting, or an image that supports the cause or mission that you support in your line of work. So, again, if you're like me and you feel like action shots of you doing your work might not be the best, or you struggle with demonstrating what you really are trying to end up creating with whatever line of work you're in, maybe try something simple like an abstract texture or pattern, something that is very similar but yet different from the standard background that you see right over here on the left hand side. So moving down to the rest of the profile, the next thing that you want to include is a strong headline. Some will ask me, "Well, can I just put my job title and use that as my headline?" My response to you on that question is, "Well, how do you want to be viewed? What do you want to be known for?" Remember that your LinkedIn profile is a way to market your brand. So think about what it is that you hope to do next and how you want to sell yourself and your brand to accomplish that. You essentially want to state that how you see your role and yourself, and you want to make sure that you're remembering it to keep it very geared towards the next step in your career progression. You also want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is fully updated. This means with your appropriate employment history and current and previous educational experiences. When you are updating these parts of your profile, be sure to reference the resume that you have worked on with creating with your career services representative. These will be great tools for you as you move forward. You also want your LinkedIn profile, you want to remember that it should make sure that you're using a summary to really kind of help you tell a story. So many individuals will actually leave their summary blank, which can decrease the impression that you make on your individuals viewing your LinkedIn. You always want to use your summary as essentially an advertisement about you. Your summary is your chance to tell your own story. When you write your summary, think about including bringing in some of those skills that you possess and trying to find a way to kind of bring those skills to life. Now, in addition to all the profile changes that we just made, you also want to take this time to essentially upgrade your entire account by focusing on growing your network. If you are just starting out with building your LinkedIn profile, try starting to grow your network by syncing your LinkedIn with your email address books. This will help help you to find individuals on LinkedIn to immediately connect you with. Otherwise, you will want to start looking for people based off of your profile information. Who do you know at any of your previous employers, and who are those individuals who you may know and begin to send connections with based off of where you currently are working and where you're currently going to school? Although a diverse group of individuals can really benefit you when you're talking about the networking piece of your LinkedIn, be sure that you do not send too many connections at once. So that way you're able to follow up with the connections and those individuals who accept your connection. And then the last major upgrade that you want to take time to do before any of the next steps that we're going to be discussing is to update your skills and ensure that all of your relevant skills are listed on your profile. LinkedIn makes this really easy to do. You can simply scroll through the list of skills and identify those skills that are relevant to you. By doing this, you can support the information that you provided in your summary. Be sure that you are aware that a list of skills that aren't really important to what you are seeking to do and what you currently do can start to be too much. So try to keep this focused as much as you can to make these adjustments and edits. Now, although a strong profile is going to get you noticed more regularly by recruiters, you also want to focus on growing your connections and your network. There are a couple of ways that you can build your network. To start, you will first want to understand the difference between your different connection levels. LinkedIn will break your connections down to a first degree, second degree, and third degree connection. You can build your network by sending invitations to connect with individuals from each of these levels, but the degree connection that you will have with another member will affect how you can interact with these individuals of different degree levels. So, to maximize your experience, you want to have as many first degree connections as possible. First degree connections are the individuals you already have connected with, either by them requesting to connect with you, or you accepting their connection, or you connecting with them and them accepting your connection. Your second degree connections are those individuals who are connected with your first, but that you will not be directly connected with immediately. That means that you can still send connections to your second degree connections and they can accept those and become first degrees. But where it really gets weird is with your third level connections. So unless you are paying for the advanced feature of LinkedIn, you're not going to be able to connect or contact or reach out to these third level connections until they become a second level. Yes, you can look at their profile. Yes, you can get a good understanding for who the individual is, but you're not going to be able to connect with them until one of those other previous connections from a second level kind of expands and becomes a first. Now, once you've identified the individuals and what level they're located on in their connection level, it's up to you to focus on start growing your network. So there are lots of different ways that you can grow your network. The first is to focus on this every single day. You should be trying to expand your network by approximately 5 people daily. This won't take a ton of time and will actually only take a couple of minutes in the beginning. When you visit the My Network option at the top of your screen on your LinkedIn profile, you will be brought to a new page where you can see any pending invitations, online events that you can attend, and people that you may know from where you currently work, as well as another section for people who you may know from your educational experiences and even others from your geographic area and your field. All of these are great places that you can look into to find individuals to connect with. I always recommend by first starting off with any of the names that you may recognize in these sections first. So that way it makes it a little bit easier. These will be the individuals who are easier to use and propel you forward to stronger connections. Join at least 10 professional LinkedIn groups, 5 networking groups, and the alumni group for South College. When you are members of these groups, you are able to connect with others in the group, which increases your abilities to connect with more individuals who might have already been ranked as that third connection, making it seem almost impossible initially to have connected with them. Now, when you realize or when you are trying to connect with individuals who you do not know yet, don't forget that a personalized message has more chances of success with having that individual accept your connection. Generic LinkedIn requests do not make the same impression that a personalized one does, And when you use a generic request message, you may run into risk of being ignored. And then don't forget to find a new way or find a way to attract others to want to connect with you. Although we're going to be talking about this in just a couple of minutes, especially near the end of the presentation, by positioning and posting quality content that attracts others, that's going to help you to get them to want to engage with you, follow you, or even repost or share your content. This is a great way to grow your network. Again, we're going to be discussing on this a little bit more in just a couple of minutes. So once you've solidified your basic profile, it is time to start looking deeper and find ways that require additional ongoing attention from you moving forward. So don't forget about the endorsements. For those of you who are not aware of what endorsements are on LinkedIn, endorsements are a feature of LinkedIn that allows your connections to come to your profile and endorse your skills. This is a really easy thing for you to do for others and a really easy thing for others to do for you. When others endorse your skills, it increases your credibility. So that's one of the reasons why you really want to focus on this. And then how do you actually ask for endorsements? So there are multiple ways that you can ask others to endorse you. Sending a polite message and asking for others to endorse a few key skills or something specific that you know that that specific individual has witnessed you do and has witnessed you do well is one of the easiest ways. The one thing to keep in mind with endorsements is that relevance does matter. So, although you can absolutely always allow your connections to endorse any of your skills, you may want to focus on what they are endorsing so that the ones that they are agreeing with are the ones that will help you the most in your professional growth and development. Keep in mind that you can always choose, and you can also choose skills to show in which ones that you want to hide if you feel like you need to. So for instance, if someone's endorsing skills that you don't really want them to endorse, then you can hide them for the meantime so that way more individuals are focused on the ones that you really want them to endorse. Although it is just as important to get endorsements, it is also important to remember to endorse other individuals as well. In fact, after someone becomes a connection, you can always reach out to that specific individual, thank him or her for connecting with you through a message, and state to the individual that you are looking to grow your LinkedIn profile and that you are looking for more individuals who endorse your skill of X, Y, and Z. In your message, you can offer to endorse that individual for the most sought after skill that he or she needs or that his or her field needs, and have him or her tell you what skills that they would like you to endorse on their profile. And that will be a great way to kind of say, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Endorsements aren't the only thing that you will want to seek when strengthening your profile. Don't forget that although endorsements are helpful because they give people viewing your profile a quick visual sense of what you are valued for, remember that there are other things you can do to get that wow factor. Don't forget to ask for recommendations as well. Recommendations are personal testimonials written to illustrate the experience of working with you. You can send these to individuals separately and ask them to write a recommendation about you. Keep in mind, you aren't asking these individuals to write a recommendation about you for a specific job, but just more so in general. When you are asking for recommendations, there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind. Ask yourself the following questions before going straight to LinkedIn and sending out these requests. Find out, does this individual have a professional presence on their own LinkedIn profile? Can this individual speak towards my work ethic? Can this individual eloquently discuss my strengths and weaknesses? Is this individual going to draw a specific reference on something that I successfully completed or achieved for either him or her or for the company that we work together with? Will this individual be able to depict me in a positive light? And lastly, does this individual have strong writing skills? Because the last thing that we want is a recommendation that's misspelled or has a lot of grammar errors. Once you have determined yes to all of the questions that I just mentioned, make sure that you send a personalized message to that individual requesting the recommendation. Draw on something along the lines of appreciating how much of a mentor he or she was, or all of the guidance and support that he or she gave you throughout your time working with that individual, or even something like, I appreciated that time that we completed this project together, and I was hoping that you could write a recommendation about that. There really is no one specific way that you should ask. You just always want to show your appreciation for the individual and build that individual up in a way that he or she can really assist you with providing that strong recommendation. Recommendations and endorsements are all great in the world to build your profile, but you will also see yourself gain traction when you become involved on the platform. So, although we never want to be condescending or ever appear combative on the platform, it's okay to ask questions that engage recruiters and others for their perspectives on professionalism or even sharing information regarding that industry. Here are some things that you may want to share on your LinkedIn. If you read an article that you think is relevant to your field or the direction of where you are looking to take your career, try including a post with a link to that URL or a link to that article. Posts that include links tend to gain lots more views. Although you don't want to just simply share an article, keep a brief 1 to 2 sentence intro that explains why you think this article was important for you to share, its significance, or ask for additional perspectives and advice. Hashtags can be another extremely helpful tool to use in any social media and including on LinkedIn. If you have never used a hashtag, hashtags help to boost social media engagement. Think about the popular hashtags that we've heard of, things like hashtag throwback Thursday or hashtag man crush Monday. Although these are all overused, they can still help to engage others and allow others to easily discover these types of posts. It is the same thing when we're talking about LinkedIn. Sure, our hashtags are going to significantly change, but we still want to include a hashtag. There are lots of hashtags that are geared just for LinkedIn that can help you to gather more traction and engagement for what you post. Some of these hashtags include hashtag management, hashtag innovation, personal development, entrepreneurship, marketing, all of these types of things. If you have a field or a subsector that you really think this type of article or what you're sharing would be beneficial to see, then you want to include that hashtag. If you want to write your own post, you're absolutely able to do so, especially if it's a lengthy post. You definitely can do so, but make sure that you're incorporating a hashtag so that you're drawing more traffic to that post. Another area that you might want to share would be any tips that you have found along the way. Let's say that you learned something new while at work. As long as it can be applied to a variety of other companies and it is more of general knowledge, that is not something that's bad to share. And that's the most important thing to remember. If it's general, it's good. If it's very specific to your specific job, probably not. The goal of sharing tips is to really find content that is relatable to others and useful to others. So to help you with identifying some quick tips, maybe try thinking about something that you've learned from a clinical rotation, or maybe something that you've learned from another industry expert in a different field that can relate to yours. Once you've identified your content, you would then want to incorporate a hashtag to help you with advancing your posts to others who might be looking at similar subject matter. Another common popular way to share your content is through asking a poll or asking a question. So, although these can be two different types of posts that share content, both are essentially asking for the same thing. You would be surprised when you see um, you would be surprised when you post a question or you pose a question that the number of individuals on this platform that will respond is just extremely large. And that's a great way to get them to be engaged and to provide, not only get them to be engaged and draw more traffic to your own brand, but it's also a great way for them to be able to share their opinions and their experiences. This is going to be especially true for any of your type A individuals out there. When you put a poll out there, or you stick with questions regarding the job search, those type A people are going to be the first ones to respond and give you that advice. But when asking for advice, the biggest difference is that you might want to make it more specific to your industry and desired positions or your line of work. You also might find it helpful to share your experience or your story. You want your stories and your experiences that you share, though, to be positive, and you want to have positive reactions and insight whenever you're sharing your own personal stories. Although you do not need to ask for advice, a lot of times this can be a great way to gain some insight into your industry or your job search when you share a recent experience. Let's say, for instance, you go into an interview and they ask you a question that feels illegal or makes you feel uncomfortable. You can always share that experience on LinkedIn and you'll get advice, you'll get information. You might even get information as to what you should do and how you should report it. Or let's say that you have been job searching for the last 5 years for that ideal position, that one position that you're like, if I could just get this job, it would be the end job for me. This is the only thing I really, really want to do. You can share your experiences to so many individuals about how many people have turned you down and how many interviews and applications and phone screens you have been through. Your experiences and stories, even if they seem negative, they might help other professionals and they might help provide you with a deeper relationship with some of those other professionals that are out there. And lastly, content sharing is not just about you and what you want to share, but it's also engaging with others and helping them to share information that's important to them. Whether you get involved in the conversation by replying or commenting, or whether you see something inspirational that is relevant to your experiences, don't be afraid to share that content. These can be extremely great ways for you to strengthen your image, your credibility, and your profile. So, although the information that we provided is really helpful, before we really get down to the questions that you might have, I do want to talk a little bit more about some additional tips that you can implement to really help you to feel good and strong within strengthening your LinkedIn profile. Be sure to incorporate these additional tips to help you work to become a true professional on this platform. First, don't forget to take the time to follow companies that legitimately interest you and are in your field of study. When you are following companies of interest, you will be able to reshare their content and it's going to put you more on their radar, especially with employers, leaders, and recruiters. Similarly, you may find it helpful to follow relevant influencers as well. This will help you to gear the information that appears in your feed towards your industry and knowledge base. When you are following industry influencers, you are able to locate additional information that will add value to your profile and yourself, which is going to help you to grow your knowledge base and demonstrate your true passion in that specific area. Don't forget to advocate for your current employer. Anytime that something good happens in your industry that your employer was a part of, be sure to share it on your page. Recent research completed by Jane Fleming in February of 2020 found that 86% of individuals who advocated for their employers and shared content for their business had a positive effect on their own career. Being able to share your positivity and things that you were a part of, regardless of whether you actually had a direct hand in it, provides a strong positive impression to others in your community and network, especially about you. So it's again building that brand for you. And then don't forget that just because you worked on expanding your network initially and improving your profile now, it doesn't mean that it will stay that way. You want to always focus on expanding your network. Sure, it shouldn't take as much effort as it once did when you were first establishing your profile, but by regularly expanding your network and reaching out to these individuals, you are able to increase your brand and your personal impact. You also want to remember that becoming involved in a variety of different ways on LinkedIn will help you to get yourself and your name be known, as well as get your brand to be known. Be sure that you continue to seek out groups of interest with like minded professionals. When you join these different groups, you can have a lot of wonderful conversations and find it easy for your post and name and even brand to just grow. Regularly provide endorsements and recommendations to others. So, just like with the regularly expanding your network, we want to always remember to regularly follow and regularly provide others with endorsements and recommendations. and regularly ask others to give us endorsements and recommendations. When we do both of these on a regular basis, we are keeping ourselves relevant and keeping our brand relevant. Sure, an endorsement or a recommendation from 5 years ago is still nice. However, it might not give the appearance that you haven't done anything, or it might just give that appearance that you really haven't done anything great or anything fantastic recently, or not a lot of individuals are like you or are impressed by your work. So, staying relevant and regularly updating your skills as well with these items will really help you to strengthen your profile. So hopefully now you have a thorough understanding of how to strengthen your LinkedIn profiles. Be sure to not only utilize the information that was presented to you throughout this presentation, but also to reach out to your career services representative for more information and a review of your LinkedIn profile. You may also find it helpful to review the career services workbook that's located in your library under the career resources option in the research guide tab. This will give you additional information about networking and just building and strengthening your profile and your presence. So before we do end today's session, I do want to open up the floor for any questions and concerns that you guys all might have. How often should I make new connections on LinkedIn? So that's a great question. It's really up to you for what you feel like is going to be manageable. I say that if you can make about 5 new connections every single day, and then spend a moment or two to follow up with those connections by sending them an email, that can be really helpful for you. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself to the point where you won't be able to follow through with the connections that you make, but you do want to make sure that you are working towards that direction. Is there a limit to how many connections I should make a day each day? So that one came through right as I was answering the previous question. Again, there's no real limit, but you want it to be manageable because you want to remember that this is also a networking platform. So this is going to be what helps you to stay organized, stay up to date, and to really help you with advancing throughout a lot of different components of your job search. How do you recommend that I stay organized when I am trying to balance expanding my network, endorsements, and recommendations all at once? So that's a great question. And it's going to be different for every individual. So, as an individual, you want to first see how much time do you have to dedicate to this platform, whether you're starting out, whether you already have one and you're just looking to strengthen it. How much time do you want to dedicate to it in a day? I can tell you, I personally maybe dedicate about 15 minutes a day because I don't have a ton of time in my days to continue to do that. So it really depends. For you to stay organized and balanced, what I would suggest doing is creating almost like a spreadsheet for yourself where you can indicate, okay, so I sent out these requests to this individual. So you put the individual's name on this page. Next column over says the date that you requested or the date that you became a connection. The next column over from that says, did I follow up with a message? What date I followed up with the message with them on? The next column after that says the date that they replied to that message. So at that point, and maybe you're putting in that first column, what are you looking for from them? Are you looking for an endorsement? Are you looking for a recommendation? Are you looking for an informational interview? But really kind of just keeping it column by column to see what you need and what you're trying to gain from them. And then just keeping it so that way you have an idea for when are you following up? When should you be following up with that individual? How often should you be following up? Because again, remember, this should be an ongoing process. Even once you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you don't want to just let that connection die. You still want to try and follow up if at all possible. And then it looks like our final question today is, do you recommend paying for the premium LinkedIn account? Honestly, I think it depends on how much and how active you plan on being on this platform. I personally do not pay for it because I'm not active enough to pay for the premium version. I don't have the time to really dedicate to it. But if I was in a position where I was in jobs or was out of a job, I really needed to find a job desperately bad, I may consider, doing the premium version for it. Just so I can increase my number of connections with recruiters and I can increase, really interacting with those individuals on there so that way I can hopefully increase my networking and find job opportunities and maybe get referrals into companies that way. So I don't recommend necessarily paying for it unless you have the time and the money to dedicate to paying for it. All right. Well, that looks like that's all the questions that we have this evening. Again, I want to thank you all for attending today's session. I hope that you found it informational, very informational and beneficial to you. Should you run into any additional questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to let me know. I provided my contact information right on this slide for you. So, again, feel free to give me a call, send me an email, whatever it may be. If you're looking to connect with your own career services representative, you can also reach out to me. I am the career services representative currently for the online, for my students who are solely online. But for any of the students who are on ground campuses, and if you have any questions about who you should be reaching out to, please feel free to use my contact information as I'm happy to help you and connect you with the proper individual on your campus. So, again, everyone, thank you so much for attending this evening. There will be a brief 4 question survey at the conclusion of this presentation. It would be greatly appreciated if you take a couple of minutes just to complete that. Just lets us know what other types of topics that you think would be beneficial to you with preparing for the job search moving forward. So, again, everyone, thank you so much for attending this evening, and I hope that you all have a wonderful night.